Let's be honest, Star Wars fans can argue about absolutely anything. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why some of these debates never went away. And I guarantee at least one of them is going to bug you. Before we start, let me know in the comments, what plot hole annoys you the most? Obi-Wan and Grievous meeting for the first time. Here's one that sounds small until you actually think it through. In Revenge of the Sith, General Grievous greets Obi-Wan like they've never met. And Grievous even explains that Count Dooku trained him in the Jedi arts. Obi-Wan reacts like this is all new information. The problem is that the Clone Wars shows Obi-Wan and Grievous fighting multiple times throughout the war. They trade blows, banter, and lightsaber techniques like old rivals. So when Grievous says Dooku trained him, Obi-Wan shouldn't be surprised at all. He's already seen Grievous fight like a Jedi more than once, fighting him himself numerous times. You can argue that the movie came first and the show expanded things later, but once you put both together, that exchange in Revenge of the Sith just doesn't line up the way it's meant to. For me, it's a bit strange how they could have Anakin avoid Grievous for the entire Clone Wars over his line in Revenge of the Sith, but don't apply the same principle to Obi-Wan. One reason I'd say they didn't bother applying it to Obi-Wan is the fact that we needed to see Grievous fight some main characters to really develop him as a character. Another reason would be the fact that regardless of whether Obi-Wan fought Grievous himself, he would know that Grievous is trained in the Jedi arts, as Grievous would have fought many other council members. To me, this plot hole is a bit strange in universe, but almost completely unavoidable after the movie was made. Now, for my most hated plot hole, the Holdo maneuver changes everything. The Holdo maneuver looks incredible on screen, but it opened a door Star Wars has never fully closed. If hyperspace can be weaponized like that, then suddenly anyone with a hyperdrive could turn a ship into a galaxy-ending missile. At that point, why build a Death Star at all? And then there's the second question fans always ask. Why did Holdo have to be the one to do it? A droid could have calculated the jump with more precision and saved her life. Some explanations say the maneuver was a 1 in a million chance. Others say it's due to the ship, the angle, and the timing. But none of that is clearly explained in the movie. And once you notice it, it changes how you look at every space battle that comes after. To me, I never liked the scene from the moment I saw it. It never made any sense to me. If you could simply cut through a ship by going to hyperspace, why did the rebels never aim a cruiser, piloted by an astromech, directly at the reactor core of the Death Star and win the war that way? I know they have tried to explain it in comics and novels, but for me, if something is that glaringly wrong in a movie, then it shouldn't be included in the first place. I think it fully deserves its place on this list. Now, for another continuity error created by Disney. Leia not remembering Obi-Wan. In A New Hope, Leia refers to Obi-Wan as someone who served her father during the Clone Wars. That line worked perfectly until the Kenobi show came to exist. The show makes it very clear that Leia is old enough to form real memories. Obi-Wan rescues her, protects her, and becomes directly involved in her life while she's in serious danger. This isn't some distant figure from a story she later heard. He saves her from Inquisitors and travels with her across the galaxy. So when Leia acts like Obi-Wan is just an old general she's heard about, it doesn't quite add up anymore. You can argue she's hiding information in the message, but the emotional distance doesn't fully match what the show establishes. For me, this was completely avoidable. The Kenobi show could have gone in so many different directions, and none of them needed Obi-Wan to form a relationship with Leia. Even if you wanted to tell the Leia story, then Obi-Wan could have worn a disguise, like Leia dresses up as Boushh to save Han. Or he simply didn't have to reveal his real identity to her. This show had a lot of issues, but this plot hole messes with the basis of the original trilogy, and it's just simple stupidity. And don't even get me started on Reva knowing about Luke. Now, for a slightly controversial take, the Death Star exhaust port problem. This is a plot hole I never gave much time to. The idea that the Empire built a planet-destroying superweapon with a fatal exhaust port simply makes no sense. Rogue One stepped in and gave us an answer. The flaw was deliberate sabotage. designed by Galen Erso. A lot of fans loved that explanation because it recontextualized everything. The Death Star didn't fail because the Empire was careless. It failed because someone made sure it would, but others still argue that it feels like retroactive damage control, even if it's well executed. It's one of the rare times Star Wars directly addressed a long-standing plot hole, and fans are still split on whether that actually fixes it. For me, it's something that doesn't make much sense. With the thousands of engineers working on the Death Star, even if we narrow down to just the top high-ranking engineers, you're telling me that nobody noticed the direct pipeline from the reactor core to the surface. Director Krennic is portrayed as an extremely competent control freak. He knew that Galen was not fully committed to the cause, so he would have checked every design created by Galen. Even though I love Rogue One as a movie and believe they did a great job of trying to cover this plot hole using emotion, I personally don't think they succeeded, and instead just gave a face to the structural incompetence. Now let's end with one that ties in the sequels. Palpatine wanted Rey to kill him. Palpatine's plan in The Rise of Skywalker hinges on Rey striking him down so his spirit can pass into her. But here's the issue, Rey still kills him. Whether she strikes him down in anger or deflects his lightning, Palpatine dies by her hand. So if the end result is the same, Palpatine being intentionally killed by Rey, why doesn't his essence transfer anyway? The movie presents this as a win for Rey and a loss for Palpatine, but the mechanics don't fully change. He wants her to kill him, and she does. For me, the sequels are full of issues, and this has the potential to be one of the biggest. However, I'm not willing to dig too deep into this plot hole just yet, as we have no content after The Rise of Skywalker. If in the future we do get that content that features Rey, then she's going to need to battle with the dark side. Otherwise, an explanation needs to be given as why Rey ending Palpatine with his own lightning did not have the same effect as Rey striking down Palpatine. I know the argument is that she must strike him down in anger for the transfer to be complete, but that's just a simple cop-out. I will give a small bit of leeway due to the fact that the entire movie is basically one big plot hole. Either way, this is a question the movie never clearly answers. Star Wars has never been perfect, and that's part of why we still talk about it decades later. These plot holes, retcons and unanswered questions aren't just mistakes, they're conversation starters that keep the fandom alive. Now remember, I want to hear from you. Which plot hole bugs you the most? And what plot hole do you think fans complain about way too much? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're enjoying these videos, consider becoming a channel member, and let's uncover the galaxy's greatest secrets together. Thanks for watching.